Not a lot of professional athletes bring up their contract without being prodded. Pat Freiermuth brought his up yesterday, and man, it was impressive. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates, the other two teams in town that I cover, the same place that you found this. I was out in Latrobe, of course, for day one of practice at training camp. First chance to see almost all of this new group together, wearing helmets out on the grass, everything but pads, really. One player was somewhat missing. Jonnu Smith has a minor injury that's day-to-day, and I believe that prognosis since I saw him catching footballs from the jugs machine after everybody else was off the field, so you're not doing that if you're really nursing something. And once he is available, and once the Steelers have all three, don't say two, count all three of their tight ends breaking out of the same huddle, heading to the same line of scrimmage, we're going to see something that is going to be unlike anything we've seen in Pittsburgh. And yes, for you historians, the Steelers have utilized multiple tight ends in the past. I just don't know that they've utilized three of them the way I'm expecting them to utilize all three of these players. And I don't even have to look up whether or not they added one who had 88 catches, fourth most in the NFL last season, to a room that already had Freiermuth and Darnell Washington. This is something. But for it to work, it's going to require some adults to manage the situation. It's going to require some inspired schematics, even though Arthur Smith loves his tight ends. This is a different level. And it's going to require, of course, above all, I think anyway, Aaron Rodgers to see them all, to use them all, while also remembering that he's got DK Metcalf, other wide receivers, and a couple of running backs, three really, who can catch the football. I asked Freiermuth coming off the field yesterday, well, you can just hear the question for yourself here.
Without giving away the playbook here, there are enough footballs, enough targets for all these tight ends and Metcalf and everybody else.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal of our offense is to spread around, not be predictable, and I think we have the right quarterback to do that. We have the offensive line to protect them, and I think we have a lot of skilled players on the outside to make plays, and so that's why we're here in camp, is to figure out who can do what and what we're good at as offense, and we'll use that going forward into the preseason.
That's a fair answer. It's also the appropriate answer. And look, if we're being real about this, there's no way Freiermuth or even, Washington or Connor Hayward or anybody could have been, wow, yes, Jonnu Smith is coming. This is great. Fewer targets for us. But there is a way that you're expected to be in these settings. So when Freiermuth went on to relay how he was when he first got the word, how he instantly reached out to Jonnu Smith, how he was the one to welcome him to the facility, to welcome him to their tight end room, how he and Arthur Smith have had conversations about how he intends to utilize these guys, how Rodgers has, obviously, and nobody needs a scouting report for this, the ability to see the entire field and to make all of the throws. It was then that Freiermuth mentioned his contract, of course, the 4-year extension worth $48.4 million that has him covered through the 2028 NFL season. And he acknowledged within the framework of that contract, look, I have a responsibility here. I'm supposed to help this team win a Super Bowl. I'm supposed to be a difference maker here. I'm supposed to be someone who is planning to be here for a long time. So I needed to do what I did. I needed to embrace this player coming in. And you want to know something? I also really liked the way Washington answered this question that I asked him.
When you see a guy come in like Jonnu Smith, do you think to yourself, oh man, they're never going to throw to me now? Or do you think I'm just going to keep being myself?
Nah, yeah, for sure. Just keep being myself. He's a, Pro Bowler, so he's good, with catching the ball, the run after. So, I'm glad, I'm for sure glad that we got him. So he just, I just take little nuggets from him, because he's an older guy. And I feel like it's good, because he added experience to our room. And he to give us all, nuggets, because he also he for sure been with Art before us, so he just coaches up on whatever play or the route detail or whatever detail of the play that we need help with.
Another way of looking at this, I guess, is what was the Steelers' tight end room before Jonnu Smith arrived, and what is it now? Without doing some comprehensive scan of the other 31 franchises, there's just no way there's a deeper one than this one. There's no way. And that makes for not just a collective strength, but a weapon that nobody else has. And if you ever have one of those, really in any sport, you can be a real pain in somebody else's behind, because they can draw up all the X's and O's in the world when they're facing you. And you can do whatever it is that you hope to do against maybe one or even both of the main tight ends. But how do you feel as a defense or as a defensive coordinator when Washington comes open 38 yards downfield, as he did for a Mason Rudolph throw in practice yesterday, and then turns around with a head of steam facing some 5'10" skinny corner? Fascinating situation on offense this season. When we come back, J1Q.
Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents injured people in automobile accidents, workers' compensation cases, and medical malpractice claims. The attorneys at Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George pride themselves in doing what they say they're going to do. It's important to them that when they make you a promise, they keep that promise. And this law firm has been keeping promises for over 80 years. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has been AV rated. That's the highest rating a law firm can receive for legal ability and ethics. And the lawyers at the firm have been designated super lawyers, that's a real thing, for over 15 years. Rare combination there. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them at lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. Again, that's 888-842-5454.
Today's J1Q is really, it's not a question at all. It comes from Goose. He just says, DK, it took me quite a while to get used to Russell Wilson being the Steelers quarterback. Seeing Aaron Rodgers out there on the field, it's still feeling like it's not real. Wild times for this team. Goose, I'm going to share with you a couple of impressions that I had yesterday out in Latrobe, and I'm not going to lie to you, that was one of them. It's different. It really is than Russ. And for me, that's not only because Rodgers is obviously on a higher elevation in terms of his career, but also partly because Rodgers, to me, and I understand he spent the last couple seasons in New Jersey and whatever, but he missed almost all of 2023, and then who the heck watches the other Jets? For me, he's a Packer. I look at him and I just see the G on his helmet. So to have him in Latrobe, in this uniform, making those throws that you could recognize if he wasn't wearing his number or anything, just by the nature of the way he releases the football, and having those get thrown to, players and people that that's pretty neat. But I'm about to take this further. I don't want to speak for the couple thousand or so who were there, Their opinions are their own, but I've been at these things long enough to know whenever a crowd is going gaga over somebody. And that was not this, because I think they were having the same feeling that you were, Goose, which is, what the heck? Look at that guy is out there. That's real. What I mean by this, to at least attempt to elaborate on it, is that there wasn't the, yay, Aaron, we love you, da-da-da-da-da, or any of that stuff. It was just like he wasn't there, which of course everyone knew he was there. Whereas when it was DK Metcalf's time to come near the sideline, they would yell out for him. But there's also an overload. Look, I watched Jalen Ramsey come off the field, and I'm still seeing that guy who was eating people alive, including the Steelers in a playoff game, for years in Jacksonville. And then, of course, wherever else he went. And I'm thinking, this is just one of the guys. And listen, I don't mean to puff them up. They don't need that from me or anybody else. I'm sharing this because of their names. I'm sharing this because of what they've done. I'm sharing this because of stuff that's already been recorded, been put on tape, and doesn't really do the 2025 Pittsburgh Steelers a lick of good until they show they can continue doing it. But for now, yeah, man, there's a wow factor every which way you look. I appreciate getting that from you, Goose. Absolutely perfect way to end this week of Daily Shot of Steelers. We will have a double shot today, and it will be at 4 p.m. Eastern, and it will come to you from Latrobe. I'll be heading back out there. Hope you can join us. Thanks so much for listening to Daily Shot. It's never taken for granted, especially in the off season. Nice to have real football around.